All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, trying to talk about real stuff, real music, real issues, and doing it in real time for a few real people out here, just like you and me. I'm still not 100%, but I'm trying to keep the store open here. That's the goal. Just keep the store open, keep the lights on. Please, if you can watch the videos, I would appreciate it. If I can get one of these done per day, right now, that's a victory. Just since Tuesday night, I have, had this stomach thing, which is hard to describe. It's getting maybe slightly better, but it's taking a long time. So, in any event, I wanted to talk about Bruce Springsteen. I know there are a lot of Bruce fans out in the world, and he announced his intention to vote for Kamala Harris in the upcoming presidential election, and warned again about supporting Donald Trump's bid for a second term. All right. I guess he posted a video to social media. He says, this is what Bruce Springsteen says. We are shortly coming upon one of the most consequential elections in our nation's history. Perhaps not since the Civil War has this country felt as politically, spiritually, and emotionally divided as it does then at this moment. Well, I'm not sure what the boss knows about the spiritual aspects of our divisions, but he's kind of right here. He's coming in from the back door, but he's kind of right. He argued it doesn't have to be this way. And so, how are we going to cure that? How are we going to make it not be this way? The last 4 years, folks, have not been good for this country. So he's arguing that we need to keep going down this road of high inflation, high gas prices, a border which is wide open. That's what he's arguing. But of course, the language is deceptive. It's somewhat, you could say it's gaslighting. He says the common values, the shared stories that make us a great and united nation are waiting to be rediscovered and retold once again. Now, I recognize when I hear corporate BS or platitudes or things that don't really make any sense when you read them. So the shared stories that make us great, well, I think there's one candidate that's trying to make us great, wants us to be great again. That's the whole point of the campaign, right? He says that will take time, hard work, intelligence, faith. What kind of faith? Faith in God? Faith in yourself? Faith in a presidential candidate? Because I have faith in God. I don't have faith in anything else. And he says, women and men with a national good guiding their hearts. You know what? National good guiding your heart is weak. That is not a strong element to guide your heart. Faith in Jesus Christ, that's something that can guide your heart. Love of your family, love of your kids, those things can help guide your heart. But a national good, which is defined by the elite members of this society. So his words here might as well have been written by somebody at the DNC word salad department. Now, this is how he describes Donald Trump. Keep in mind, Trump already served as president of the United States, the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. Adding that his disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where, okay, because we're going to go back to the J6 thing. We're going to go back to that because that's all this is about. J6. I saw Liz Cheney on TV endorsing Kamala Harris with her warmongering father, Dick Cheney. All right. Emphasis on the word Dick. The sanctity of democracy. What? What's the sanctity? We're a constitutional republic. What's he talking about? The sanctity of democracy? The sanctity of the rule of law. Okay, like people coming over the border are breaking the law and they should be prosecuted or at least sent back, turned around. That kind of rule of law? I'm not sure what he's talking about here. And the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power. Um, okay, so technically, power did transfer peacefully. Trump left and Biden came in last time around. J6 was before the transfer of power, and there were a lot of people who thought that the last election, and again, the algorithm isn't going to like this, so I'm going to be gentle with this. There could have been some issues. Can we just say that? There could have been some issues with the last election. So people were upset, and they think, well, it was Donald Trump's fault, even though I think he said, go to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. I'm pretty sure those were his words. But everybody blames this guy for that event, but they don't want to look into what might have really happened 4 years ago. They certainly don't want to go too deep, and figure out maybe there were some shenanigans. He goes on to say he doesn't understand the meaning of this country, its history, or what it means to be deeply American. That statement to me is pure gaslighting. So Donald Trump, according to Bruce Springsteen, doesn't understand the meaning of this country. Well, what is the meaning of this country? I mean, we could all go back to the founding, where people were fleeing persecution, essentially wanting to worship God without the government getting in their way. That was the main motivation of coming here and starting a country. So what's the meaning of this country? Its history, or what it means to be deeply American. What's the difference between being deeply American and being, say, not so deeply American? He goes on to talk about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. They're committed to a vision of this country that respects and includes everyone, regardless of class, religion. Really? You mean like arresting pro-lifers for praying in front of one of those safe and effective clinics? They believe this is what he is saying. He's trying to sell. I mean, I haven't seen this amount of gaslighting since the media covered Joe Biden when he was just fine. There are no problems with Joe Biden. He was great. He was cognitively sharp, and he can prove it. By the way, I think he was a sacrificial lamb. I think they put him out there early on to give them enough time in case, which I think they already knew that he was going to bomb, but they needed to give people time to get used to the idea of Kamala Harris. But Springsteen literally says this out loud. He says, regardless of class, religion, really, race, your political point of view, or your sexual identity, which is pretty much a key to much of what the rock world cares about, your sexual identity, because your sexual identity defines you more than the God that you serve. It affects you. This is according to these people. Sexual identity is more important than, raising a family or doing good in your community. All right. Class, religion. Well, what if my religion teaches that, marriage, for instance, is between a man and a woman? What if my religion teaches that? Are they going to be respectful of that viewpoint? See, this is like a spaghetti plot, like a hurricane spaghetti plot. It's all over the place. It's going this way and that way. And there's just too much going on. But it's a generic statement that is what it's trying to do here is make it sound like, oh, well, they'll respect you even though they disagree with you completely. And they will enact policies that are completely against you, but it's okay. And then he says this, And they want to grow our economy in a way that benefits all, not just the few like me on top. All right. So do you understand how devoted they are to this principle that people need to pay more in taxes? That's what this is. Translation: rich people need to pay taxes because they're not paying enough, even though I think they pay like 70 or 80% of the tax burden. So are they going to put more taxes on all of these large corporations that support Democrats like Amazon? Are they going to do that? Because that'd be interesting. I want to see if they actually do that, but I guarantee you they won't. They want to grow the economy. Look, Kamala Harris is currently the vice president of the United States. The economy is not doing all that great. They've had 4 years to mess around with it. There's no mention here of reducing the debt, which 35 trillion, is that what it is right now? Just curious. I mean, nobody has really a clue as to how to grow the economy in this administration. They have failed. So with that failure staring these people in the face, they talk about this equity thing, an economy in a way that benefits us all. See, Bruce Springsteen gives the game away here at the end because he says, not just the few like me on top. I'm Bruce Springsteen. I have tons of money. So it really doesn't matter who the president is. I can do this as a hobby and just tell people what I think. And even if Trump does win, which apparently is an existential crisis, that's why, folks, I think there's something coming. If there's not something coming, I'd be shocked. So, of course, the working man here, Springsteen, Mr. Blue Collar, has backed Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, all who helped destroy the middle class in the last 20 or so years. All of these people are responsible for destroying the middle class. He says here, that's the vision of America I've been consistently writing about for 55 years. So his songs are about Democrats who are looting the treasury so they can send money to places like Ukraine. That's what he's been writing about now for 55 years. This is Bruce Springsteen. Now everybody sees things different, and I respect your choice as a fellow citizen. But like you, I've only got one vote, and it's most precious. That's why come November 5th, I'll be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim Walz. Awesome. Because those are the kinds of values we want to teach our kids, that tampons belong in boys' bathrooms. See, and that goes back to this sexual identity thing, which they value. Honestly, these people value more than a booming economy. This so-called pro-choice issue, they value that issue more than low interest rates. They value it more than, endless wars that continue. They seriously, and I just don't understand this. I don't, for the life of me. You can tell me your point of view on this issue, and I'll say, is that more important than the $35 trillion in debt, the wide open southern border, which Kamala Harris, who is currently the vice president, could walk into the Oval Office and say, hey, Joe, wake up, sign this executive order, and shut this mother bleeper down. That's what she could do in a heartbeat. But they won't do it. They won't do it. And if they won't do it now, why would they do it later? See, these people think that there are so many Americans that just won't vote for Trump because he's mean or he had questions about the last election, and they just keep running that same TV show, the J6 special, coming up again tonight on the J6 special. We've got new information, new bombshell information. And I'm like, you know what I care about? I care about going to the grocery store and not like emptying my wallet for 3 bags of groceries. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to not do that, actually. That's the point I'm trying to make. So again, not a surprise, Springsteen, but to come out and say, and by the way, this is why Donald Trump keeps getting shot at. You know why Donald Trump keeps getting shot at? Because this rhetoric, perhaps not since the Civil War. So, okay, this is as bad as the Civil War. We need to take this guy out. Doesn't have to be this way. The most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. Bruce, he was already the president. He did it for 4 years. And other than this Chinese virus thing, which certainly derailed his election, possibly, definitely something else was going on in addition to just people going out and voting. I'm sorry, that's my theory. Look, you don't have to agree with me, even if the whole thing was legitimate, which I just can't imagine it was. But let's just, for the sake of the algorithm, it was a perfect election. 2020 was perfect. But Trump left, okay? He didn't try to stay in the White House. He didn't get the military behind him and declare that, he was just taking charge of the country. He didn't do that. He left. He got on the helicopter and left, and the reporters made fun of him when he left. And I don't understand his disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution. When I hear the word sanctity, I think of the sanctity of life, right? These people don't give a rip about the sanctity of life. And you know what? The Constitution is an important document, but it's not more important than a person's life. Definitely not. The sanctity, again, of democracy, which is just this buzzword. What does it mean, democracy? It doesn't mean anything. Is that mob rule? Is that the cities ruling the rest of the country? Because that's kind of what's setting up here. These population centers are calling the shots for the rest of the country because, you got a big city, say, in California, and the rest of the state could vote red, but yet the state goes blue because of that one area. That's not what our founders had in mind. There's no way. There's no way. And this is why they want to get rid of the Electoral College, and they want to break everything up in little pieces and so forth. And, the urban centers get far more electoral votes or have more electoral power. Anyway, folks, I'm rambling here because the more I dissect this, the more it just saddens me that this guy here who pretends to be working class, right? His music is supposed to be working class for the working class man. This man is an elite person who has played this really well over the years. Says, hey, I need to pay my fair share. Basically, he's calling himself out. He won't pay any more in taxes. He's got accountants. He's got people who are going to make sure that he pays as little as possible. He really shouldn't be lecturing flyover country, he used to kind of represent with his music. He shouldn't be lecturing those people on who to vote for when they've seen this just happen to them. And not only have they seen things like lower income and infrastructure that's collapsing, it seems as though the United States cares about countries like Ukraine and endless wars in various places around the world than they care about like Appalachia, which again is pretty much Trump country there. So I'm out of gas here. If you can support the channel, I'd really appreciate it. This has been a rough week for me. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just telling folks. I'm not cranking out content like I normally would try to do. I'm asking for your prayers and your support. Patreon, YouTube memberships, buy me a coffee is always a cheerful way for me to receive a message from someone. And I'm not saying you have to do that, but it is helpful. The algorithm, again, isn't going to like any video that opposes Bruce Springsteen because he is, the final authority on politics and culture and music for that matter, because there's nobody Nobody better than Bruce, except a lot of people.